Hey, what's up? It's me, your girl E, coming to you today for a Saturday writing session. Okay, I'm a little behind schedule, of course. Um, the last time I did this, I don't think the audio was working, so I deleted the video. My hair's a mess. Hold on. All right. Um, if you're watching live and you can hear me, just definitely put in the comments. If not, we'll have to go out and come back in. Let me see. I'm actually on live now. And you can hear me. Okay. Just definitely put in the comments. If not, all right. I saw it on my Facebook page. Let me see. I'm actually on live. You can hear me. Okay. All right. So, I don't know if it was. I don't know what was going on, so I'm not even going to deal with it. However, what I'm going to do is go over what we talked about, and then go over some new information. We are talking about writing a memoir. It is July the 11th, 7/11. And I'm just kind of excited. Also, we got some memoirs on the block. Of course, writing a memoir is a lot of people think of their story. A lot of people have come to me and say they've been inspired or they were told to write their story, especially things they've been through. And this is how we're going to encourage them to do that. Everybody has a story to tell. So what you want to do is you definitely want to share your story, because your story is like your testimony. You can always help somebody, especially when if they're going through a similar situation, because you go, I've been there, girl. All right, so let's talk about the memoirs that we have, starting with me, moi. We have The Resurrection of Phoenix Black, forward by Reverend Fred H. McCree. All right, this is my memoir, my personal memoir. I wrote this about 5 years ago now. It is my most recent book because I'm currently working on a new one. The Resurrection of Phoenix Black definitely deals with my upbringing, and then the challenging relationships that I had with my ex-husband and another gentleman that I dated. I connect with the phoenix because the phoenix is a bird that if the phoenix actually kills itself to be reborn. Now, I'm not talking about suicide, so get that out your head. What it does is it dies to itself to be rebirthed as a new creature. I'm a born again Christian. Any man is in Christ is a new creature. I also look at it, sometimes we grow. So I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. So that's why I connect with the phoenix. I love fire. Fire is like my favorite element. So this is why I connect with the phoenix. The next one is If You Only Knew How God Turned My Mess into a Message by Angela Brock. Angela Brock, I met her a few years ago. She's a wonderful person. She is dealing with her drug addiction and how she overcame her drug addiction, how she became like a motivational speaker. She's a beautiful person. This book is wonderful. I love it because the title speaks for itself. If you only knew how God turned my mess into a message, right? And like I had just said, sometimes the things you go through, you can help somebody else out. The next is Josie or Jay Dennison, Trading My Sorrows. This is a beautiful diary style book. And she talks about overcoming her issues and a period in her life where I'm not even going to give it away, but it has a lot to do with domestic violence. And she's an advocate. She's a domestic violence survivor. And I'm just so proud of her. Next is Hercules, aka Chico Butler, rest in peace. Chico, I met him at a library. I was doing a vending show about a few years back. His book was already published. It was self-published, but when he met me, he immediately terminated his contract with his current publisher and wanted me to publish his book. I was beyond honored. Justice Denied. It deals with a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder. When he was in the Army, I believe he was no, it wasn't a POW, but the trauma and even the coping skills. Those in the Pittsburgh area who knows Chico is a dancer, and he would dance when it helped relieve the stress. It was a de-stressor, right? Chico was a wonderful, wonderful person. And last but not least, the most recent memoir that we have published, I believe it was last October, um, Turned Pain into Purpose by Marlo Berry. Marlo is a beautiful person. She also talks about her addiction and how she overcame that and how involved she is in her recovery. I love Marlo to death because this book, she says, you know what I mean, it's a purpose. She went through this for a specific reason. So all these books are available on Amazon. And here's the thing. You can always go to this website at writersblockpublishingllc.com, go to books and click follow it down where you see memoirs, and you can click on the link of the book and get your book. It'll go take you directly to the Amazon site. Every book is available on Kindle as well. So if you don't want the book in hand, you can always download it. Download the Kindle version. All right. So let's get into it. Writing a memoir. When you write a memoir, these are the people that wants to write their story. Okay. And I don't want to, but it's very cliche because everybody got something to say. But I know it's extremely important. So what I want to do is encourage you. The first thing I do is you have to think like a novelist. All right. There are many good reasons for approaching a memoir as a fiction writer would approach a novel. Remember that you're telling a story that is very crucial. So this is your truth. Okay. I don't like that. Your truth. I don't like that mindset, but because this is why I don't like it. Because you have to take accountability to that time frame. Okay. Whether you're right or wrong, you still have to take accountability on why you moved the way you moved. A memoir, what it does is focuses on one significant event or central theme, which means that you can be creative with telling the story in the passage of time, for an example, as you would writing a novel. So a memoir is one specific point in your life that you had to basically grow from. And remember, when you're writing a memoir, you got to write it as if you're writing a novel, and you are the protagonist, and the protagonist has to grow. Like the flowers, they have to grow. Okay, so this is a situation in your life that you learned from. So that's why I said you have to take accountability to where you was in that moment. Okay, it doesn't matter what happened. You have to say, well, this is why I moved the way I moved. This, and you got to really explain that. Bring justification to that so your reader can like, okay, it makes sense why. Okay. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay. You have to discuss that. Like Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing. A lot of people read it, and when she was raped by her mother's boyfriend, and then of course she told what happened, the next thing you know, this boyfriend was dead. She stopped talking for years because she felt that her voice caused this man's death. No, he was right. We get it. He's messing. You know what I mean? But we had to understand why Maya felt the way she felt as that child. Okay, so you got to talk about that specific purpose. Like, why did you move the way you move? Okay. You want to keep your reader in suspense. You want to give away too much too early, and you want to maintain a narrative tension. Is not necessarily story elements one would immediately associate with a memoir, but moments of light and shade can keep your readers gripped into the story. So you have to be very strategic with telling your story. You don't just say, I walked to the store and then I got robbed. No. You got to tell this. You got to captivate the reader. Okay. And put us in the scene. Was it hot out when you walked to the store? Was it cold? Was it the winter day and your car didn't work, and so you just had to walk to the store, get some milk, breakfast? Okay. You have to discuss, you got to put us in the scene. You got to keep us going. Then boom, again, you got to tell that the climax is, of course, is the boom. All right. Also remember, when writing a memoir, you're not writing an autobiography. Don't tell everything, because the reader does not really care. Okay. We just want to know what in this specific life, with this specific point in your life, led you to be this type of person. Like, you definitely talk about your growing up, your upbringing. Definitely talk about, say, maybe your schooling, a situation that kind of shaped you, that teacher that molded you, whatever. And then you read up, like, okay, I see why they moved. It is not a biography or autobiography where you're like, okay, then I put on a red shirt, and then it was Saturday, and the next day Sunday, and then Monday. No, don't do that unless you're talking about maybe something within that week. The long week is not an autobiography. Um, it's worth keeping in mind that when writing a memoir, you're not writing an autobiography. You do not need to cover every detail of everything in order exactly as it happened. Okay. That, because if you think about it, I mean, you're long winded, and nobody likes a long winded person. Okay. Let me see. Establish your narrative voice early on. Get your voice. Okay. And that's kind of, see, it's how can we explain that? If it's true to all writing, most established, but especially in memoirs, especially writing a memoir, when you need the reader to be on your side and really know you, the character, as early as possible in the book, you're taking them on a journey and leading them by the hand through some of the most personal moments of your life. So making sure that you are familiar with your voice, but from the first page is crucial. Set the tone. Start talking. Tell us who you are. Okay. If you are not a eloquent speaker, don't try to write like one. Just write. I'm not an eloquent speaker. As much as I like to write, I'm not a wordsmith. Okay. I got to bring out the thesaurus, the dictionary, stuff like that, and then talk. My favorite singer, Mariah Carey. If you listen to her lyrics, some of the words that she says, you're like, what is she talking about? And you got to get the thesaurus. It's her genius as a songwriter, because she knows words. Okay. But we all know that's something that she established that from day one, from her debut album. If that is not you, don't make it you. Okay. Just tell the story. My phone is so loud. Don't tell this, I'm not saying don't tell the story. Sorry. Don't sound like something that you're not. Okay. Your readers need to trust you. Okay. They don't, not necessarily because you need to be a trustworthy narrator, but because they need to understand your perspective. And I think the best way to do that is to settle them in the timbre of your voice. The page begin. Just be you. Just be you. Okay. Just do it. Just be you. Just make sure that when you're writing your memoir, just talk like you're talking to a friend. Okay. If you got to say, honey, listen, this is how I felt. Didn't say, honey, listen, this is how I felt. Okay. Just talk. As mentioned with Maya Angelou's, an incredible example of a strong woman in the men. We all know Maya just has she had that regalness about her. A good exercise for honing this might be reading your first page out loud, recording it, and listening back to it, or playing playing it as you're moving about, because then you can hear how you sound. And when you hear how you sound, then you can hear yourself on the page. So your readers can hear you on the page. If you don't like the way you sound, more likely your readers are not going to be like, I'm not reading this. All right. Next, treat each person like a character, not someone you know. Okay. Character development. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Now, this could be challenging because, similar to the previous tips about establishing yourself in a narrative, it's personal. You might be writing about your mother, your father, your brother, sister, or teacher, people who have shaped who you are. Doing justice on the page when they are living, breathing person is a real challenge, but it's also very important to making the reader feel part of the experience in the stories. So let's talk about the characters. Remember, your readers don't know who your uncle is. They don't know who your mother is. They don't know who your cousin is. They don't know. You know, but they don't know. Don't talk about them as if they know. You have to introduce them. So as the story progresses, they'll be like, yep, that's just like Uncle Jack. I can see it coming. You have to, you want to describe them. Are they tall, short? Are they thick? Are they thin? Are they nosy? Are they quiet? Or are they extremely intelligent? Are they bookworms? Talk about them, describe them. Dark skin, light skin, white, black, purple, blue, whatever. Talk about them. My dad's mother, my paternal grandmother, I loved her gray hair. She just had like this silver gray hair. She always kept it short, like a nice little pixie cut, but it was just extremely beautiful. Her gray. It was like this silver. And it's been gray ever since I can remember. Now, I can sit here and say my grandma, but of course, which one? I got maternal grandma and I have a paternal grandma. So you want to, you know what I mean? Now, when I name my paternal grandmother, her name was Frankie. Okay, then we all know that's my dad's mother, right? But Frankie was about average height, about 5'6", maybe 5'7". She smelled like flowers. Okay, she had a beautiful caramel colored skin. She wore her, I called it the Julia Sugar Baker glasses. Sometimes she would smell like peppermints. She always had the good snacks, right? This is my grandma Frankie. My mom told me every weekend when I was a little girl, when they were young, that I would go to my grandma Frankie's house. And I remember specifically always going over, that was when I was a baby, up until my brother was born. And then, you know, my parents really didn't want us having separate weekends. You know what I mean? But we had a great relationship. So now my grandma Frankie was also, she was very sweet. She's very nice, but she, you know, she had a little cutting edge to her too, right? So when I start talking about, say, spending time with my grandmother, now you say, she's going over to Grandma Frankie's house. Now, me personally, I was blessed with three grandmas. My mom's mom, my grandma Bessie, that was my little firecracker right there. My grandma Frankie, as mentioned, and my mom's stepmom, my grandma Shirley. Beautiful women. Spoiled brat, I was, but beautiful women. They're all beautiful. My grandma Shirley is still living. I check on her all the time. I make sure that she ain't out in these streets because these streets is dangerous. But then again, Grandma Shirley gonna do what she wants to do. Nonetheless, your readers have to get to know your characters. Character development. Describe them. Okay, describe them. Okay. Um, let's get into the next one. Okay. Let your readers make their own judgment. Okay. Following from this point, while you are undoubtedly writing the memoir to share your experience, don't lead the reader too much with your description of certain events so that they don't feel that they aren't able to make their own mind up about it. Okay. That's pretty much with anybody. Okay. When you think about your life, that one person can make a judgment about you. Now you could describe how your friends are. Like, I got this great friend, me and her like to get together. We like to laugh. We like to cook. You know, we have a great time together. And I can tell you what her name is. And then you're thinking about, oh, okay. So when you meet her, you say, oh, you know, I heard so many nice things about you. They already have a judgment about that person. And the judgment is not a bad word, but because, you know, we be getting into trouble on some other levels with judgment. There's already judgment there, right? But don't over describe your friend or the events. Let your readers get there, okay? Because once you then set the scene, okay, and you put you in it, and you had your own reasons on being in there, and you got your other characters, your family members, and now you're at the scene, your readers will make the call. And because you're leading up to it, they're making a call as they're reading, and they could make a good call or a bad call. Okay. Let your readers make their own judgment. Leave or create space for the reader. Just said that. By sharing your writing with your reader, you obviously want to make sure they are getting your views and opinions across. But you also need to acknowledge that once it is out in the world, a memoir is open to interpretation and the opinions of others. All right. That's one thing that you have to take consideration about. Once you put it out there, it's out there. Everybody knows your business. Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody can say, well, no, no. I'm telling you what happened. I'm telling you how I felt about the situation. I'm going to tell you where my mindset was when I made this choice. And the reader could be like, girl, no, you was being messy. You was being busy, or you was being a coward, or you was being a bully. They have their own interpretation. All right. Leave the creative space. Take it in. You know why? Because you put it out there. Okay. I was very hesitant on writing The Resurrection of Phoenix Black because I had to tell some stuff, even my own business. Like, I had to spill my own tea. Okay. And it is what it is. It is what it is. I can't I can't take it back. I can't, because first of all, that's my past. And I definitely can't take it back simply because it's now a published book. So guess what? I got to own it. I got to say, yep, I sure did. I most definitely did. All right, guys, check it out. We're going to finish next week. And we're going to talk about writing memoirs. And don't forget, all these great books are available on. Why did it block out? Oh, trifling. Okay, all these great books are available on Amazon. Go ahead and either go to Amazon.com or go to the website and click on the link and get your copy today. Have a great, great Saturday.